Okay, so picture this. You're taking a beautiful, scenic drive down the Baja California highway heading towards Ensenada. You hit kilometer 60, and suddenly you feel this overwhelming urge to just slam on your brakes. Looming right there, literally hanging over the Pacific Ocean, is a structure so dark, so imposing, and just so bizarre that locals and travelers have basically crowned it the Castillo del Diablo, the Devil's Castle. Today, we are finally unlocking the heavy iron doors of this infamous building, and we're going to separate the terrifying internet myths from the truly fascinating reality. I want you to imagine standing right at the base of this massive cliffside fortress. Looking up, you just have to ask yourself what in the world really happens inside the Devil's Castle. I mean, what could possibly be going on inside a house that is covered head to toe in snake statues, demons, and gargoyles staring down at the highway? Is it a secret cult? Some sort of haunted attraction? The rumors have been swirling around this place for years, and honestly, the mystery just seems to grow the longer you look at it. And people's imaginations have just run completely wild. The internet is absolutely stuffed with wild urban legends about this spot. Just listen to this actual story floating around on Reddit about how the castle came to be. It describes this beautiful woman dancing with a handsome stranger at a club, only to discover, and I quote, "One of his legs looked like a chicken leg and the other one resembled the leg of a horse. When she got home, she saw a demonic hand burned into the back of her dress." So spooky, right? The myths surrounding this place are just incredibly theatrical and undeniably chilling. But let's snap back to reality for a second, because this isn't just some made-up internet creepypasta. It is a literal physical building standing right there at kilometer 60 on the highway. And yeah, the exterior is genuinely terrifying. It has these massive arched entryways totally framed by snake statues, archangels, and these really imposing horned creatures. Honestly, it's no wonder a driver online described it as a literal evil building that gives them the heebie-jeebies every single time they drive by. Okay, let's dive into this, because the contrast between what people think is happening and what is actually true is wild. On one side, you've got the myth. You have locals and internet sleuths confidently speculating about satanic rituals, evil entities, and dark demonic cults. But then you have the reality, and the reality is that this is actually the 10,000 square foot dream home of a quirky US expat. It's a sanctuary filled to the brim with eccentric Gothic art and, plot twist, a massive tribute to Elvis Presley. Meet the man behind the mystery, Tony Wells. Tony is a US citizen and an incredibly passionate, lifelong art collector. He had this really grand vision for a Gothic masterpiece, but strict zoning regulations back in California meant he could never legally build it there. They just weren't having it. So he looked south. He found this perfect cliffside spot in Rosarito, Mexico, and spent 7 painstaking years constructing this massive dream home just to house his sprawling 20-year collection of art and artifacts. And Tony's actual philosophy, it completely shatters all those evil rumors. Despite those intimidating gargoyles outside, Tony is entirely about positivity. He says, and I quote, "There's no certain religion not welcome here. As long as they're good, they have good vibes." He literally calls his home a place of 100% positive energy. The dark exterior, that's just an aesthetic choice. The inside is governed by this incredibly bright, welcoming attitude toward literally anyone who enters with a good heart. So what exactly is inside this Gothic museum? Well, the sheer oddity of this collection is staggering. We are talking about Elvis Presley's actual bed, a 600-year-old architectural piece taken straight from Dracula's castle. Literal coffins that are actually meant for the living, a space he dramatically calls the Room of Exorcism, and hundreds of antique weapons clashing beautifully with sparkling crystal chandeliers. It is this wildly bizarre, meticulously curated sensory overload. Take that first item, for example. It perfectly highlights just how dedicated Tony is to collecting incredibly rare stuff. Tucked away inside this dark, Gothic fortress is the actual bed of the king of rock and roll. Tony bought it at an auction almost 20 years ago, held on to it for all that time, and finally built a specific room in this castle just to showcase it. It really just goes to show that this house is way less about the occult and much, much more about preserving some deeply eclectic history. And speaking of history, get a load of this number, 600. That is how many years old an authentic metal fireplace dome is that Tony tracked down and brought all the way over from Transylvania. It's a genuine piece of the real Dracula's castle. He felt the energy of that piece was totally necessary to make his own castle truly authentic. His dedication to this Gothic aesthetic isn't just a gimmick or a joke to him, it is an absolute passion. But okay, we definitely have to talk about the creepy stuff, like the coffins. Yes, Tony has real coffins inside the house, but their purpose is actually surprisingly well-meaning. He uses them as temporary resting places designed to transfer bad energy into good energy. Basically, he places female mannequins in them, characters he's created with these elaborate backstories, and explains that. And this brilliantly illustrates the core theme of Tony's entire design, juxtaposition. Everywhere you look, he deliberately contrasts really macabre decor, like antique knives, heavy swords, and Medusa statues, with elements of high feminine elegance. The ceilings are just dripping with sparkling crystal chandeliers. Tony explains it like this: the swords represent war and power, while the chandeliers represent the light, beauty, and power of women and religion. He believes that putting them together creates this ultimate energy balance. Let's head up to the rooftop for a second and see how this all builds together. This is where you get that absolutely breathtaking view of the Pacific Ocean. But you are far from alone up there. You're completely surrounded by these massive rooftop guardians. We're talking archangels, gargoyles, and statues of goddesses keeping watch. And while the gargoyles look super menacing to the drivers on the highway below, Tony explains that, well, gargoyles have to look scary. Their entire job is to look intimidating so they can successfully ward off evil and protect the house. It really all boils down to this crucial point Tony makes. He says it's about 100% positive energy. If they're bad spirits or negative energy, they will be good by the time they leave. And honestly, that is the ultimate twist of our explainer today. The internet's most infamous evil building, the terrifying castle that launched literally 1,000 satanic rumors, is actually designed by its owner to be a beacon of ultimate positivity and healing for anyone who steps inside. And you know, Tony isn't keeping all this positive energy just for himself. He has some incredibly wholesome future plans for the building. He's actively planning to open the Castillo del Diablo to the public as a free museum. He wants locals and art lovers to experience the history and the unique vibe of his collection firsthand. There is literally just one catch. He won't charge you a dime for admission, but you are absolutely required to bring a good attitude and positive vibes to get through the front door. Which brings us to our final thought. Knowing what you know now, that it's filled with Elvis memorabilia, a 600-year-old piece of Dracula's castle, mannequins resting in coffins, and is completely guided by a philosophy of 100% positive energy, would you be brave enough to spend a night in the Castillo del Diablo? It really is a true masterclass in not judging a book by its terrifying gargoyle-covered cover. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating mystery, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.